Welcome into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Urshery and PJ Zuko have so much to dive into on the show today. Have some rumblings coming out of Athens that we'll dive into here in a little bit. Some injury updates to get to. Also, Falcons and Jags kicking off their season this week with the rest of the NFL. Thursday night, tomorrow night, guys. NFL season kicks off. Some Dallas and Kansas City, and Cam's over here updating the fantasy football team.
Yeah, got to get it right.
I can't do it anymore. I mean, BJ texted us yesterday and was like, "Hey, you guys want to put together an office fantasy league?"
Mm-hmm.
Hell no. Nope. I know
you
PJ,
shut that down so quick.
Yeah, PJ, you're like the defending champ from like 4 years ago, so I defer to your knowledge. But
got the trophy on my desk.
Listen, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this that love fantasy football, play fantasy football, really care about fantasy football. I say this with no hesitation. I absolutely loathe fantasy football. And it's not because I don't appreciate the community aspect of it. Like, I used to have a really good time with a group of people that I played fantasy with. And there was our commissioner would write these like long, elegant recaps from each game where he kind of like made fun of the different players, not the actual NFL players, like the teams.
Right.
And
right.
we had fun as a community, and I really enjoyed the communal aspect of it. But the actual, especially if you're in a, I'll say, competitive, wink, wink, league, the actual like moving players and trading and updating, and man, my kicker sucks, and so I have to sign a new kicker every week. And my defense, I'm gonna just get whoever Houston's playing, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go out and claim waivers at 4:00, and then when I'm watching the games. Yeah, I'm rooting for the Falcons, but Jalen Hurts, I had to start him at quarterback because my quarterback got hurt.
Yeah.
And so I want the Falcons to win, but I want the Falcons to win like 45-38 because I need Jalen Hurts to go off. Or I'm just trying to watch a game at 4:35, and I'm catching up on the last of the 1:00 games, and I'm like, all right, so here's what I need. I need them to be winning, but I also need it to be close enough that the other team's having to play catch up. So my quarterback's throwing for a bunch of yards, or I have this receiver. So I need that team to be losing. And I'm going to have them just throw to this wide receiver over and over and over again, right? Or how about this? You want to sign a defense, but that defense is playing your wide receiver.
Yeah.
It sucks. I'm straight up. It makes watching football not enjoyable. I'd rather watch the NFL and just enjoy watching the NFL. I know a lot of people out there love fantasy football. I loathe it. Cam, I'm sorry. I don't mean to rain on your parade over there playing GM. You're like, damn, my running back's out.
Yeah, ETN's out for the season, man. I forgot about that.
That's rough. I got James Robinson though. So
I got Dalvin Cook as my one.
See, CJ's finding silver linings in Travis Etienne getting hurt.
He's not good. I don't like that by any means, but I did make a smart pickup. But this is the thing for me this year, right? I'm gonna get to like week 6, and I'm either going to be really bummed or like really, really happy because of what I did this year. Basically, like I don't know about you guys, especially with fantasy football though, it's really difficult for me to say no to people. So like I have like 8 friends that are GMs of different leagues. So it's just really easy for me to look down and just be like, yeah, buddy, I'll do that. Yeah, man, I'll do that for you. Yeah, sure. And then I look down and I'm like, I'm in 9 leagues. I didn't even want to do this. Like, but I'm signed up and like, I can't back out now. So there were 4 or 5 years there where 9 was probably exaggerating a little bit, but there are 4 or 5 years here in a row where like I've been in like 4 or 5 leagues each year. This year I made it a point. I was like, I might be in 1 or 2, but that's it. Like I can't do anything else. I can't. So I said yes to 1. I said no to a few more. I tried to get in another one, but like the draft messed up, so I'm not in that one. And thankfully, I think. But like that's the thing, right? I'm gonna get to week like 6 or 7, and I'm either gonna be really bored because I'm not in a lot of leagues, or I'm gonna be really, really happy because I'm only in that one, that I'm trying to keep track of. So I don't know. We'll see about that this year for me. I kept a spot open just in case we did anything, but I think I don't know. We'll see about that. I think we tried to get that. I think we tried to get that fired up yesterday.
I'm always
kind of got shot down by a couple people.
I'm always in one league every year. I did a league with Cody and Christian last year. I won.
Of course.
But But this year, I got a decent team. I didn't catch the draft in time, so obviously my team was auto drafted. But I mean, they gave me my boy Cook. I have Justin Herbert. I'm praying because I got a steal, but I don't know if he's gonna play this year. I'm praying Deshaun Watson can come back or Michael Thomas comes back. I got those two just on the bench just in case, later in the season some things pop. But I mean, it's a solid team. I think I got the 49ers and Washington's defense, so
yeah,
I'm good with that. But I mean, it's interesting. I like the fantasy football aspect, especially basketball too. But sticking to football, I like it. It's just when a player on my team, which I don't think I have a lot of players this year, a player on my team has to play the Falcons.
Yeah.
I think you
Right,
seen my tweet
right.
yesterday.
yeah.
My stress level, I have to, it's Wednesday. And I kid you not, yesterday I had to mentally prepare myself for Sundays because granted, I love the Georgia Bulldogs here. I love them. But the Falcons, we had season tickets growing up, me and my pops going to see Vic and the crew and Roddy White and Aldrich Crumpler. And you got to mentally prepare for them every Sunday to watch the Falcons because you don't know what they're going to get, what you're going to get from them. But fantasy football, it's the cream of the crop. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, especially with a team like that. I mean, you got to be ready to go. You got to be mentally prepared.
See, you're good. No your team hasn't had a losing season in 14 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You're right about that, but I think it's like it's weird, right? It's the different expectations of we haven't the Steelers haven't had a losing season in 14 season, a losing season forever and all that. And Mike Tomlin's obviously done a great job, but there's also been a lot of years where you're like, man, this team could go 13-3 and then it's 9-7 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's kind of that balance. It's still winning seasons, but you're not really in contention. You know what I mean? So it's different. It's odd. It's interesting being a fan like that. But I will say, like fantasy, there is a good and a bad side to it because there's definitely all those negatives that you just mentioned.
Oh yeah.
I will say, like, I'm not normally someone. If I draft my team, I look at it. I'm normally pretty confident in it. I am in one league this year, and I'm happy I made that change. But the league I'm in, I didn't really know.
Don't get me started on people who are in multiple leagues.
Well, no, I get.
How do you do that?
What I was like, I've done that for the past 4 or 5 years because I can't say no to people. It's like it's a problem I have, and I know I have it. I'm trying to fix it. But like, so this year I started saying no to people.
PJ, you know how you say no?
You say no.
You say no.
Yeah. They told me that when I was like 7 years old, and it never really clicked. So it is what it is. Anyway, I started doing that with fantasy football this year, and I'm only in this one league, right? So like I'm very happy about that, and sure. But this league that I got into is with some of my buddies or whatever that, and I'm looking forward to it. But like I'm not a big trader or like you said, like waiver wire guy, whatever, all these different things.
So you don't like to win, is what
I guess I'm just confident in my teams. If my guy gets injured, like I'll go pick someone. I have one. But like the league that I got into, like 20 minutes after the draft, like, hey dude, can I get this for this? I'm like, no, I like my team. What?
I'm a recovering fantasy football player. Maybe that's why I have such strong feelings about it.
That might be it.
But I won my league that I played in for a long time, multiple times, and I finished I always finished quote unquote in the money, right?
Right.
And so, but it was just sweaty. Like I guess that might be a gaming term, but it's just like tryhards, right? I guess is the best way to put it. It's just sweaty. It's just you get to the end of the season and you're in first place, but you've basically sold your soul to be there. Like you spent way too much time scouting and figuring out like which guy is going to have the best yards. And if God forbid if you were in a point per catch league, just shut it down, or PPR league, shut it down. So it's tis the season,
right?
Because it starts tomorrow night and. Again, it's just one of those things. It's like, God forbid you get busy at work and it's Thursday and you're like, oh crap, I have 4 players going tonight.
You just mentioned that I got Greg Zuerlein as my kicker. I probably need to change that.
Cam, you as a human being do not need to know the name Greg Zuerlein.
And
he's a really good kicker.
But I probably need to change that.
Only reason, like 70% of the people who know who Greg Zuerlein are either play fantasy football. Or Madden.
Yeah.
And he's on their ultimate team.
Right.
The other 30% are crazy NFL fans and Rams fans. He still plays for the Rams?
Nah, he's a Cowboys kicker.
Is he the Cowboys?
That's
now?
why I said I
Thank
need
God.
to change him
See,
because they play
recovering,
Tampa.
Recovering.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty happy. Like I tried. You said kicker, and I was like, who even is my kicker? No, I got that guy from Seattle. I don't know his name, but like,
Good.
Myers?
Dude, I'm kind of happy about that too.
Right there, where you're at right there, that's good.
Myers.
You should not. No, Cam.
Yeah,
you should
is.
not
It is.
know.
Yeah.
You should not know who the kicker for the Seattle Seahawks is, PJ.
It's
We
true.
are second down on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. All right. You need to know ACC, SEC, Sun Belt football, and the
Right.
Falcons and the Jags. That's all you need to know. You do not need to know who the kicker is for the damn Seattle Seahawks.
Except for those weird moments when you let me talk about Penn State that
Well,
I never
obviously, that's your-
expect. I
that's your
never
favorite
expected
team.
though.
That's your
Yeah.
favorite team.
Okay. But yeah, no, you're right. No, you're right. I'm actually kind of happy I don't know that. But yeah, well, we'll see how that works out. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, that's my main thing is like when I get to week 10, am I super bored or am I really happy that I'm not in the midst of all that? We'll see. We'll see.
Ben Anderson writing and says you're not a real fantasy player if you play kickers in your league. I didn't know there are even leagues without kickers in them.
That's
I
very
just
true.
started a year or two ago, so cut me some
How
slack,
about start a
Ben.
real league where it's just kickers? I'm here for that.
Oh,
Kickers
Lord.
and defense. You can pick as many kickers as you want to.
I know what defenses
I'm
I'm
with that.
taking.
You get 3 kickers, throw a punter in there because you got to like pick a team with a okay, I'm here for this. Like you get like
Dude,
3
yeah.
kickers, 2 punters, and 2 defenses,
Right.
and that's how you play. And so like you have to pick teams that are just good enough at offense to get on the other side of the field and kick long field goals. And then you got to pick a couple of terrible offenses because you want all those punt yards.
Mhm.
All right, you guys find me that league.
I'm
there for
are
that.
you picking the punters? You're picking the punters, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. You're
Ooh.
picking
no,
punters.
you get 3 kickers, 2 punters, and 2 defenses.
How many points what about like kickoffs? Like how many points do you get
Ooh, touchbacks.
if you how many points do you get?
Touchbacks are like 3 points.
What about a successful onside kick?
That's like
Is that on the
that's gotta
kicker?
be like the same as a touchdown, so like 6 points, right?
Yeah, I like it.
I'd
I'd play
set
this.
that league
I'm
up.
game
I'm
for
there.
this. Wait, this is
But
bad. We're
kickers-
getting back into it, dude.
kickers-
We're
No,
finding
this
a
is
way.
different. This is different.
I don't know if it
This is so different.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, off the top of y'all head, what defense would y'all pick first? Just the only if
Oh,
y'all
yeah,
had to pick one.
you have to have
defense.
a good defense.
I mean, but what team would y'all pick? I just want to see if we're on the same page.
Defense, because
I
it's
think this
not
would be
just
the
it's
best
not total
defense.
defense, right? Like you can have a team that gives up points, but if they get sacks and stuff, stop dragging me back in.
I just want to see if y'all
Ravens?
have the same. Nah, that's not the team I would pick.
Who are you going with?
Maybe LA, but they
Bears.
lost Melvin
The
Ingram.
Bears, really?
Bears or 49ers. Those two defenses.
They got some nasty defensive lines.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Got some goons up there.
I did see a great TikTok though, where it was it showed like sitting down with a 50-point lead, watch to enjoy Monday Night Football, and then it's just like Tyler Lockett is just like comes out of the like God, who's the wrestler?
Randy Orton?
Nope, the one who comes out of the coffin.
Oh, Undertaker.
The Undertaker. Thank you. Undertaker comes out of the coffin. It says Tyler Lockett because Tyler Lockett's
Yeah.
just famous for going off for like 60 points on Monday Night Football multiple times. So
So
I
true.
thought that was pretty funny. But again, I'm a recovering fantasy football player. I'm not doing it again. I'll screenshot the text message yesterday where BJ was like, we should do a league for the office, and I said, y'all have fun.
He said at one point you can make a team for me, but I'm not touching it. So we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'll probably win because the team that auto drafts always wins and just infuriates you even more. We got more to come here on Second Down. I want to come back and talk about targeting. It's maybe the biggest non-team storyline coming out of this past college football weekend. I want to dive into that. I thought Reese Davis had an interesting idea on the ESPN College Football Podcast with David Pollock. I want to dive into that. Also, some injury updates to get to from Georgia as they get ready for a talented, I'll say this, a lot of people laughing, including you, PJ, laughing at Kirby Smart when he was coming off the field getting interviewed by Holly Rowe, and he was like, listen, we got to get ready for a really good team, and it's UAB. They're pretty dang good, and they're pretty stout. So we'll dive into that when we come back as well. More to come here on Second Down. All right, Cam. I need the official. Just call the fight. Certified Lover Boy or Donda? Which one won that fight?
Certified Lover Boy. It's not close.
Really?
Yes. No, it's
I think
not
it
close.
outstreamed Donda in like what 3 days.
Yeah, it's not close. That album's beautiful.
But Kanye slept in Mercedes Benz.
He didn't stay there long enough.
Or maybe he picked the wrong stadium. Maybe he
Yeah.
should like slept in Gillette.
Yeah, where
True.
great things happen. But
Is it still
Nah.
Gillette?
True. I'm not sure.
yeah, it's
Foxborough. Let's call it. Let's say
honestly,
Foxborough.
Yeah,
Yeah, Foxborough.
I honestly don't know.
But I mean, nah, it Drake's was way better. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So one of those like top to bottom, just banger after banger.
Yeah, there's not
Is there any that you're skipping over?
no skips.
Wow.
No skips. I don't listen to music like that personally, but no skips at all.
I did see Maryland's their football social media account when they beat West Virginia.
Yeah.
They put the West Virginia helmet because if you haven't seen the album cover for Certified Lover Boy, it's the pregnant emoji multiple times. They did that, but they put the West Virginia helmet on it and it said Certified Loser Boy. And
It's corny.
it was just a lot to take in.
I don't know. It was a lot. All I'm saying, but you've seen a lot of those over the past week, and there have been a lot of really like lame ones.
Yeah.
That was at least kind of
You know what I
funny.
miss? And I don't know what's
That was
happened. I'd
kind
be
of
curious
funny.
to talk to some of our friends that still coach in college football. I don't see the giant poster boards as much anymore. Like
Oh,
that was all the
yeah.
rage for like a decade was just
Yeah.
like giant poster board, 4 things on it. It would have like JFK, Madonna, a picture of a tree, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
And they're like, boom. And you're like,
Yeah.
all right. And then so like some of them started getting into like really into pop culture. So like whatever like the latest meme was, you would see up there. So I can't think of this weekend seeing it one time.
Right.
Mm.
No, I'm not really either. I don't know. We'll have to look around, but if we see any poster boards or anything like that, I wonder if that's going to make an appearance.
If you see it this weekend, take a picture of your screen, tweet about it, post it on Facebook, tag us at ESPN Coastal because I want to see it. I did not see it. I watched an obscene amount of college football.
Yeah.
This past week, so I want to see it. Maybe they're just not showing it on TV anymore. I don't know, but I miss seeing it because it's just like the grad assistants or like the backup quarterback holding up the giant poster board. I did see, which made my heart happy in a few games, the defensive coordinator with the 3 assistants following him around with a giant towel. So the coaches,
covering things up.
so the coaches that were sitting in the press box
Yeah.
couldn't see him, but it's so stupid because literally every coach in the press box has the broadcast thing going on, and so like they could see onto the field anyway. It just it cracks me up. But again, so excited college football is back. But this past weekend, I think one of the bigger storylines that wasn't technically on the field, but it wasn't about a team or about a player or about a style of play. Targeting. We saw 4 players ejected in a quarter from the final game of the week with Louisville and Ole Miss. And Penn State, Wisconsin had a relatively controversial one where you had a quarterback going towards the sideline
Mhm.
and a defensive player coming up, and the quarterback kind of ducks his head, gets hit in the head, targeting call. I thought Reese Davis had an interesting suggestion because Kevin gets real mad about targeting. He thinks the rule should just straight up be eliminated. I've spoken to some football coaches about it, and they're like, listen, we just want consistency. And it's not a consistent sport. Every hit's different.
Yeah.
But I understand what they're saying. They just want it called consistently. Like, because a hit will be called targeting and their player will be ejected, and they'll see the same exact hit against their team, and it's not called targeting. And they're just like, where's the consistency at? So I am of this mind. I think you're not going to see this rule removed because they're looking out for football 10, 15, 20 years from now. And so if a parent has a 1-year-old right now or a 2-year-old right now, and they're watching football and the news comes out that college football is eliminating targeting and they're not going to penalize helmet to helmet hits, then maybe in the future that parent is less likely to get their child into football versus if they see a concerted effort to protect players, then you'll maybe see parents keep the kids coming into football. So I don't think that rule is going away. And also just in terms of health for the players, I like the rule because, I mean, who does Reese Davis do that podcast with? David Pollack.
Mhm.
He tackled a player with his head down, broke his neck, and it ended his career. One of the greatest college football defensive linemen ever ended his NFL career really early. So I'm a fan of what the rule is trying to accomplish, which is hit with your head up.
Agreed.
See what you hit. I mean, I had coaches when I was younger, and it wasn't that long ago, that taught me to put my head down and put the top of my head on the football.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you shift a player over a little bit, I'm either hitting him in the sternum with the top of my head, or if you shift him over and down a little bit, I'm hitting him with a face mask with the top of my head. And I was never this athletic, but like there's human missiles out there.
Right.
Like I remember Reggie Brown at Georgia against Auburn in the early 2000s. I mean, a lot of people call it the Reggie Brown rule because he got speared and ear-holed.
Yeah.
And laid face down on the ground, was just out.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of the rule and what it's trying to accomplish. I'm not a fan of the inconsistency, and I'm not a huge fan of every single one of these being automatic ejections, which that's what I wanted to get to from Reese Davis. He had an interesting idea. Make it, and I know this is going to be tough because then it gets into the area of remember back in college football, I had the 5-yard face mask and the 15-yard face mask, the intentional and the non-intentional. And so basically it came down to a ref on the fly determining if it was intentional or not. You had those, and this is kind of getting to that area, but Reese Davis says basically if it's against a defenseless player, so a player that's in a position to defend themselves, a running back breaking down the sideline, a wide receiver that already has the ball in their hands is making a move, a quarterback who's running, something like that. A player who's in a position to defend themselves, and they duck, and you were going to try to hit them at the hips or take out their legs. They duck, and y'all graze helmets, kind of like what we saw again at the sideline of the Penn State-Wisconsin game. You hit helmets, then it's a 15-yard penalty, but it's not an ejection, and you just count that as one of the 2 personal fouls that a player is allowed to get in the game. I think that's something, because all of these are reviewed anyway. I think if you determine it's a player that's in a position to defend themselves, because running backs, I think, get away with this scot-free all the time. Running backs come through the hole and put their head down, put their shoulders down, and just bowl people over. Well, if you're trying to make a tackle and all of a sudden they're dropping their head and it hits you in the head and that's targeting on you, that's tough.
I believe if you go back a few years too, when they made this rule change initially, it was supposed to penalize running backs for doing that too.
They never
seen that,
and it makes it so hard for defenders.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I think if you installed that and just say it's a 15-yard penalty, run a play, got to keep your head up. Like basically that's what you're telling them is. And I don't think a quote helmet to helmet hit, especially if it's a running back and a linebacker, because helmets are going to touch. I think if both of their heads are up, I don't think that's a penalty.
Right. No. Agreed.
I think if you're seeing what you hit, that's a penalty. And it accomplishes what you're trying to accomplish because you're not turning your body or your head into a weapon, and you're protecting, because a lot of this is to protect the tackler as well.
Exactly.
Like I said, David Pollack broke his neck.
Yeah.
And so you're just teaching them, and you see it now a lot more in youth, where it's keep your head up. They're teaching kind of a lasso tackle where instead of just like trying to body somebody, you're actually legit wrapping up and taking out the legs. So the Seahawks were one of the first teams with Pete Carroll to really implement this in the NFL. But again, 15-yard penalty. If you get 2 of them, you're out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is. Like if you get 2 targeting penalties in a game, you probably should be out. But I mean, if you get 2 personal foul penalties, you're out. Like if Kyle Hamilton, after he took his helmet off on the sideline against Florida State after the pick, if he had gotten another personal foul penalty, he was gone.
Yeah.
So I'm with that. Now, there should still be automatic ejections if it's a defenseless player.
Yeah.
So wide receiver going up to make a catch and you just absolutely earhole them.
So that means you're doing it on purpose.
It's just, well, even if it's not on purpose, you're reckless, and you can hurt yourself or you can hurt somebody else.
And again, ultimately, that's what this is about.
Getting rid of that.
That's what the rule is about, man. I think that's the frustration for me, is the misconception that we want to take big hits out of the game. We want to do this. We want to do that. No, we're trying to keep people safe, man. That's it.
And every single year, these kids get bigger, stronger, and faster. And so every single year, the hits get more violent.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially with the style of offenses that are being run now, you have a lot more. Because think about it, back in the day, I mean, it was, you see quarterbacks and they'd be 12 for 20 or something like that. And so half of those passes are within 5 yards. And then maybe you see 3 or 4 shots down the field where you get those really violent collisions between safeties and wide receivers. Now you're seeing that play 20 times a game.
Yeah.
And so those collisions are going up. And that's what these officials in college football are taking into account, is just how the game's changing and how much more violent it can be. Like, again, you're getting a ton of hits just at the line of scrimmage every single time. And it used to be you're playing football in that box. So now it's just so much more spread out that you're getting a lot more of these violent open field hits. And I'm okay with the player drops his head and the top of his helmet hit somebody in the face or hit somebody just in the head and neck area. I'm okay with that being an ejection.
Yeah.
Like Slade Bolden in the Miami-Alabama game. There was zero need. The running back was going down. If you want to get on top of him and finish the tackle, fine. There's zero need to lead with your head on a back that's going down and make contact with their head.
Agreed.
No, I mean, if you do it on purpose, I agree. It's just I watched Ohio State and Minnesota Thursday, and it was a head-on-head collision that they just didn't call. And I said, I don't like how inconsistent it is.
Right.
Like that changed the entire game.
But I mean, in the NFL, it's a reviewable penalty, and if it's targeting, it's a 15-yard penalty, and you just keep going. It's the same as face mask. It's just, all right, yeah, it's targeting, 15-yard penalty. Let's keep going. You're not ejecting a starting safety.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's just completely changed.
It's the ejection that kills me, I guess. And then it's
I just think it should be. I think it should be harder to get ejected. It's a game. It's a game. So like if you get ejected in the first half, you're just out for the rest of that game.
Mm-hmm.
If you get ejected in the second half, you're out for the remainder of that game and the first half of the next game.
I don't like that.
But it's just. But what I think the goal is there is just to make it such a stark penalty that you eliminate it from the game eventually. And that's where I think there needs to be more flexibility for these officials. Because remember, this didn't used to be reviewable.
Right.
The first few years that it came in, it was just you call and that guy's gone.
Yeah, that's it.
I remember Georgia. I'm not saying this is why they lost, but I just remember Georgia got beat by Vanderbilt 2013, 2014, something like that. And I want to say it was either Rameek Wilson or Amarlo Herrera got ejected. And it just completely changed the game because starting inside linebacker gets ejected and no review, no nothing. And you look at the play and head was up, didn't even make contact.
Yeah.
And so they've evolved from that. But I just think another tweak towards two different penalties there where if it's malicious and it's against a wide receiver that has no chance to defend themselves or a quarterback that has no chance to defend themselves, fine. Immediate ejection. But if it's something where it's bang, bang, you're coming up to hit a running back who's just running people over, you got to take him down. Y'all's helmets pop off each other. You probably should have been looking up a little bit, but it's just one of those situations. 15-yarder, keep going.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you. I think it would, like you said, it would save the course of certain games that have been changed or would be changed, but because of incidental contact, because of
right,
and a lot of these situations, some of them, of course, are ridiculous, are what do you call it, reckless, where a guy's going in and making a hit and doing something that he absolutely should not be doing for whatever reason. And then there's other situations where. And just because it's the most recent one, and because obviously I was watching it, there's the one like the Wisconsin one where you're close to the sideline. If that linebacker were to wrap up the quarterback and form tackle him out of bounds, it would have been an unnecessary roughness.
But because he kind of like shoulder bumped him and the head shoulder bumped him,
and this, like, if you look at the last second, I understand the call. If you look at the last second, he goes to hit him. And his bodily reaction is like his head moved back a little bit. And that little bit brought his helmet up to the quarterback's helmet. Right. So boom, there's the helmet-to-helmet contact. There's the targeting. And that's that reactionary movement to a body like naturally about to make impact with something should not be costing someone an entire game by any means.
Yeah, so 15 yards is 15 yards. It is what it is. I mean, to me, if you do it like that, then all of a sudden it just becomes like face mask. Where it's just, is it intentional? No. Is it still 15 yards? Yep.
Right.
Like if you want to complain about your player still being in the game but getting called for a 15-yard penalty, I mean, fine. You do that anyway for pass interference and for face mask and for all that other stuff. So it's to me, just make it another penalty in the game unless, like we said, it's malicious. Yeah. It's against a defensive player where there's no reason for you to be doing it, and that's clear.
Which I think
you shouldn't be doing it.
I think the argument against that is very overblown because I think there's a lot of people that would come back and say, well, how do you judge intent? How do you judge if it's malicious or reckless or whatever? I think that's very simple. I think we just overcomplicate.
Well, I think there's a perfect example is how many crackback blocks have you seen recently?
The numbers are certainly going down.
Just like the decleaters.
Right.
Right, where the guy has no idea someone's there. They don't have time to prepare their body for the collision whatsoever, and they sometimes don't even get a chance to turn their head around, and all of a sudden they're just getting whipped off the ground from a decleater. That's not in the game anymore because it's against the rules.
It's true.
And what did it accomplish? right? So what they're teaching the players now is if you are on kick return and you're running down the field and you see a guy that's about to tackle your guy and you're coming from where they can't see you, they teach don't put your shoulder down because for one, you're going to get called for blocking the back a lot or for illegal crackback.
Yeah.
But what they're teaching, and two, is just there's no reason to do it except to try to hurt the other guy. What they're teaching now, and I saw this at Savannah State's football practice, but this is what the officials have been teaching, because during scrimmages, actual conference officials will go to these scrimmages. One, so you have a legitimate officiating crew, but two, they can update you on new rules and make sure your players are up to speed. What they're teaching the players now is if you're coming back and a guy can't see you and he's going to make a tackle, put your arms up in the air and just slide in front of them.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to go through you.
Right. Just slow down his movement.
It's just, but
Yeah.
Cam, it's basketball.
Yeah,
It's a pick.
That's what I was about to say.
It's a
Yeah,
pick.
that sounds like basketball.
It's literally just a pick. They're teaching them a pick, and I think that's great. It accomplishes the same thing.
Exactly.
You prevent them from tackling your player. You get the block, right? But you don't decleat somebody, potentially hurt them, or potentially give your team a 15-yard penalty, or you get ejected.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, I just think it's okay for the sport to evolve. And for
Yeah.
those of you who say it's not physical, please look at Evan Neal. Please look at Jordan Davis and tell me that game's not physical anymore.
Yeah.
Go out there and
Yeah.
you for those saying it's not physical, go get tackled by Nakobe Dean and tell me it ain't physical.
Right. Not forget that.
They're just trying to make it safer, and they're trying to make this so these guys, you're getting rid of the long-term injuries that a lot of these guys have to deal with. I mean, we work with a guy every day, Ben Troop, who's intrinsically involved with the Players Association and with the players trying to get some kind of reconciliation from the NFL. And he'll tell you, man, there's injuries that you'll never be able to get rid of. And some of it's just from playing the game. You sign on to play a physical sport, and you're going to get paid a lot of money to do it, but you sign on to play a physical sport. Nobody's forcing you to play it, but at the same time, you don't sign on for brain injuries.
Right.
And so if we can fix that, I think it's something we can fix. I thought it was an interesting idea there from Maurice Davis in terms of just tweaking targeting, because I do agree it's maybe too far right now in terms of how it's changing the game. A dude works all week in practice, and because of an awkward hit, he's ejected.
Yeah.
I don't think that's cool. If he goes out there and he's trying to hurt somebody, yeah, ejection. But just because of an awkward hit and a running back ducking his head, I don't think a dude who's been working all week for a game should be automatically ejected and have to miss time the next week as well. So interesting thought there from Reese Davis. We got more to come here, though. We'll dive into some NFL and some news out of Athens when we come back here on ESPN Radio. A lot of people thinking Georgia got a get right week this week. Big favorites over the Blazers, not Kevin Blazer, not KT Blazer.
No.
The Blazers from UAB coming to Athens. Georgia finally, I don't say finally, but Georgia kicks off their home slate with the Blazers coming up on Saturday. Kickoff at 3:30. You're the program director. What time's pregame start then?
Say that again.
What pregame start in Savannah for Georgia football?
What's the
3:30 kick?
Time? So 11:30.
11:30.
Yeah.
On ESPN Radio Savannah, we'll have pregame coverage for you of that. But a lot of people thinking this might be an easy game for Georgia against UAB. But I'll tell you what, they got a lot of transfers there from Power 5 schools. And outside of that, they go about 300 across both lines of scrimmage. And so I know it ain't 340 like Georgia has with Big Jordan Davis right there, but this isn't going to be Auburn playing Akron.
Right.
Not
a lot of things are, though.
No, Akron might be one of the worst teams or is one of the worst teams in the FBS.
Yeah. No.
But it's not that, which I think is good. If a Georgia fan is looking for perspective, I would say this is maybe talent level of when they opened with App State a few years ago.
Right.
And it was like, 31-10 kind of a game. Again, different offenses. Jake Fromm, freshman, having to step in there when Jake Eason got hurt early. But I think maybe that kind of game where their talent level is going to surprise you a little bit. Obviously, Georgia should overpower them. But wide receivers, Georgia ran out 2 walk-ons against Clemson.
Right.
Which, again, one of the things that I keep telling people, I'm like, quit complaining about the offensive performance. You started 2 walk-ons at wide receiver and beat Clemson.
Yeah.
You started 2 walk-ons at wide receiver. You were missing your number 1 and I'd say number 2 tight end. And your right guard got hurt on the first play. And you beat Clemson.
You did just fine.
So
yeah.
I do think this could be a little bit closer than people think. I don't think it's going to be a 30-point game. It could be. Georgia could stretch it out. I will say this, and I was going to say about the injury front, George Pickens, according to Kirby Smart, doing some straight line running. So nothing close to contact yet, but that's nuts that he's already running around.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's got to give Georgia fans some hope a little bit later in the year. But Dominic Blaylock, they say, is getting closer and closer to getting back. He just needs game reps. And Jermaine Burton, I'm sure, having a full week of practice where they said out of 30-some-odd practices, he only got about 10 of those in during fall camp. Getting Jermaine Burton up to speed, maybe you'll get Kyrus Jackson back, or this could just be a week where you say, listen, lad, not like referring to the players as lads, but actual lad McConkey coming in there, which Savannah fans should know because he was the quarterback, North something, from all the way up there that played Jenkins in the quarterfinals a couple years ago, came down to Memorial Stadium with that really good Jenkins team that went all the way to the semifinals. He was the quarterback who came down and just tore up that really good Jenkins defense. Now he's up there playing slot receiver for Georgia. But I think if you can get by one more week, let everybody else get healthy, and then start getting ready for an SEC slate, I think that's probably where you're at. But this isn't a pushover team in UAB.
No, and you certainly gotta progress through the offensive quote unquote struggles and whatnot. But no, I mean I'm with you. I did. It's just I know you said I laughed because I did. I mean, it's just the initial chuckle of like you just got done beating Clemson 10-3, and it's one of the biggest wins in the program in a long, long time. And you're starting off the year in a really good way. And then one of the first things you say in the post-game interview is, "Listen, man, we can't just look at this win. We got a really good team coming up next." And I asked my roommate, and they were like, "We're playing UAB," and they're like, "All right, man, like, come on." So my initial reaction was like, "Okay, whatever, coach. That's the biggest coach speak I've ever heard." But then you look into it a little bit and like, okay, UAB might be all right. It might be pretty good here. So we'll see how things work out. But like you said, some offensive things to work through without a doubt. Hopefully you build more chemistry with those guys. But you're also not playing Clemson's defense. I mean, say what you will about UAB, it's not Clemson's defense. So looking forward to that. This might be another game, too, where, like you said, going into Clemson, you might just turn it around, hand it off to one of your 15 running backs that you can get yards with. I don't know. We'll see. But any kind of complaints or anything like that people want to say about the offense, I would not only counter that with the things you're going through, the injuries you're going through offensively, I would also counter that with, yeah, but look at your defense, because that defense is nasty. So
no, this is all rat poison. I know Cam's over there. Like UAB is gonna. What'd you say? There needs to be like a 4 or 5 touchdown game.
Yeah,
You know what that is?
no
You know what all
offense.
this is? You know what all this is? Rat poison. This is what Nick Saban was talking about right here.
all right, he brought it up.
You guys got that. You guys got that rat poison going on here. Easy win for Georgia on
No,
Saturday.
I never said easy.
Rat poison.
But I want them to assert their dominance like Alabama would. You know, come out there, assert your
If I'm-
dominance,
Listen,
and win the ball game.
listen. I know we got to go break, but if I'm Georgia Southern, and I know they are an FBS school just like Alabama's an FCS school, but if Nick Saban says, "quote Y'all don't remember Georgia Southern, do you?"
Yeah.
He said they come in here and run through our bleep through a tin horn. I am like, that's on a sign
Oh yeah,
at Paulson.
that should be framed.
Like there should be a statue of Nick Saban at the podium
He's praising you.
outside of Paulson saying that. Like
Yeah.
that should be on T-shirts everywhere.
Maybe
so,
you put that somewhere and you run down a hill and you touch it like Howard's Rock.
Robbie Ross, if you're listening and you do Robbie does, good friend of ours, does a PA for Georgia Southern there at Paulson. I'm playing that before every game.
You don't know
Before
about Georgia Southern, do you?
every game, bleep through a tin horn. Every game could not stop them. We gotta go to break. We'll come back with more right here on Second Down. Big show coming up today on 3 and Out. We'll be joined by Mercer head coach Drew. Speaking of Alabama, Drew Cronick and the Mercer Bears headed out to Tuscaloosa to take on the Tide. Listen, you guys might be like, "Oh, Mercer heading out to Alabama. It's gonna be bludgeon." They took down 69-0 in their opening game. So those Mercer Bears will put up some points. A ton of local guys in those games as well. A bunch of guys from Brunswick, some guys from Ware, a bunch of guys from Savannah as well. I think Michael Campbell from MCA, captain on that team. So a bunch of local guys going to be out there. 4 o'clock on SEC Network. We'll also be joined later on this afternoon by Josh Pate from 247, talking about college football as well. All that coming up next with Kevin Thomas and Ben Troop. If you miss any portion of our show, check it out on ESPNCoastal.com. We'll talk to everyone tomorrow.